Hi, I'm Tim,
Hi, and I am Denisha
and we are your hosts for Living with the
with the
Spectrum.
Spectrum.
Yes. So tonight is going to be exciting. We're going to talk about how everything began
Yes,
with us getting diagnoses for our children and finding out that they were on the autistic spectrum.
correct.
So, right now, as you see, Denisha's occupied. She's trying to help my son find something to watch. He's watching this really good movie, I guess, and we had to get everything situated so that we can be here before you and talk about this because it's a real thing.
That's right.
And I'm just going to go into it and just say this. You know, when I started, when we first found out about my son's diagnosis, there was a lot of mixed emotions. I didn't, for one, I didn't know what autism was, and when I found out it had something to do with disabilities, it kind of, in some ways, made me feel emotionally disconnected. I felt, um, and it's still hard to talk about because it's like you're right there when it happened. But I kind of felt like in so many ways that, I was being punished, like, God, why? What's going on? And because my son, he had echolalia, meaning that he would copy what we would say. He would repeat just our words. He would parrot our words. And he was slow at learning things. And it's like, man, what is going on? So I kind of felt like, we were given a curveball that wasn't fair. And I went through denial. Didn't want to believe that this was happening to us. And we're just talking about the first diagnosis.
Hi, I'm here now. Sorry. Yes. I really do apologize. We have to kind of get them situated with their own little things because we're starting it at 7 o'clock. And so by the time we end this podcast, it'll be bedtime for them. So, excuse me. Had to give him something to do, my 3-year-old something to do, and our 10-year-old Evea is having French fries and watching ASMR videos. So right now we're kind of occupied. So if you see me off to the side doing something, trying to take care of them, that's what's going on, and he'll kind of carry the show until we get to where we need to be.
Or if I have to get up and do something, then,
Correct, because this is
no,
live.
yeah, we have to share the responsibility.
100%.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 2
Woo woo!
of Living with the Spectrum. If this is your first time watching us, this is our podcast of me and my husband, Tim. I'm Denisha. This is Tim. Of course, we said that in the beginning. It's our podcast of what it's like raising and living, well, of course, but raising 3 children that are on the autistic spectrum. It's our perspective. It's going to be times that we need advice. We give advice. We have 2 very close people that are to us that are psychotherapists that will be able to, help with counseling personally and for some marriages. And so that's what it is. And not only that, we are believers.
Yes, very much so.
Most importantly, that's our number one. But
Yes.
we started this because we needed an outlet to be able to talk about what we deal with as believers and as people that have autistic children.
Yes. Yes.
So, you can go back and watch episode 1. We are very transparent. We are in real time. So there will be times that you see our 5-year-old Grace walk in and out. You'll see our 10-year-old kinda. She's very to herself. And you'll see our 12-year-old. He'll be 13 next month. I cannot believe that, but
Me neither. Me neither.
he's 13. He's getting older. I'm getting younger. But nonetheless, we are going to go back.
But before we go back, I know that you guys see that we have stockings in the back.
Oh, yeah.
We it takes us a while to catch up to date and up to speed. So we'll be taking this down probably
we
by
get
the
a
next
chance.
next episode. We'll do it by next episode.
Hopefully. I won't promise anybody anything because, Christmas was what, 2 weeks ago?
Hey, but still,
Give us a break. It's like he said, it takes us a little bit to kind of catch up. Takes us a little bit to actually put our decorations up.
Hmm.
And then I've had decorations up sometimes up until March. Not because I love decorations that much.
That
It's
should
just
that should be one of your New Year's resolutions.
what?
Let's work on getting these down. You know, even the tree's still there. So
Yeah, the tree's still there, but he
Yeah.
can also take them down. Am I right?
I,
Okay.
I'll take the tree down.
So, I
tomorrow.
mean,
Okay.
so it's my job to put them up and take them down? No. We'll figure it, so, but here's the thing though, babe. Sometimes we don't have time.
I
Or
understand.
I'm tired. Like, you might be
understand,
looking
yeah.
at me now and be like,
I mean,
she
I'm-
look whoop, because I'm tired.
I'm tired too. You know. But we're not going to get into who's tired, who's more tired, because that starts arguments.
No,
Uh,
it doesn't, because we know what the truth is.
Anyways.
Anyway, um,
So, I mean, just to give you a brief overview, we have 3 children on the autistic spectrum. They're on 3 different levels, 3 different, I can't say categories. My son, he's high functioning. I would say so because he's able to communicate. He's able to read and so on and so forth. So the teacher uses him in class to be a role model for the other students. So he's more high functioning. Our middle child, which is Evea, she is nonverbal. You know, we're still working on potty training her and so on and so forth. So, you know, she's a little bit in the lower functioning rate. And what's scary about that is that when she was younger, when she was about 3 or 4, the things that we wanted her to do, she was doing. And
maybe
then
stepping
she started
on
to
what we're going to be
digress.
talking about.
I mean, she digressed a little bit. I just wanted to
Yeah,
give them a
but
brief
like-
overview. And then then little baby Grace, who is 5 years old now, so we shouldn't call her a baby.
We shouldn't,
But
but
she's our
baby.
She knows how to say her ABCs. She's still delayed. She's not making complete sentences or anything of that nature. She'll say a word here and there. So it's pretty, it's slow, but it's not that slow, right?
I
Would you say
mean,
that?
If you guys have been seeing my face when he says higher functioning, lower functioning, in the middle, it's kind of hard to grasp all of these things because you don't really like to put your children in these categories.
No, you don't.
So I'm just kind of like, I don't like that. But I will say she's the best of both worlds. Okay.
Yeah. She can talk. So
she's a little bit of both of our children, which is why we can pretty much talk on 3 levels of autism because we have 3 different personalities, and with 3 different personalities,
no, Grace.
she's touching the camera right now, but you have 3 different areas that we have to, understand. And our 12-year-old was a certain way, completely different than our 10-year-old,
Yeah.
who was completely different from our 5-year-old,
Yeah.
which is going to be anyway, but then you add autism in the mix, so just makes it a lot.
All right, so
more
let's
challenging.
talk about what we're here
No,
to
you
talk
just gonna
about.
cut me off?
I-
You
I
done
thought you
did
were
all
done.
that talking.
I thought you were done.
And I was about to curve it in.
Okay, but today we are talking about what?
The beginning.
Okay,
We're going back to the beginning.
Would you like to talk about your experience in
Of
the beginning?
course. Yeah.
Have at it.
I mean, we're both going to talk about our experience, but when we talk about the beginning, we're talking about like the first time we ever got the diagnosis of autism. And so, like we said, we have a 12-year-old. Can you please turn it down a little bit, Nehemiah? Thank you.
Sure.
So Nehemiah was probably about 3, 2.5, maybe 3. And my mom, she was a school teacher I'm originally from Vero Beach. Shout out to Vero
Beach, Florida.
Lived in Gifford. Whoop, whoop. How y'all doing? How you doing? Anyway, so my mom was a school teacher, and she worked with special needs children. And towards the latter part of her career, she worked with autistic children. I mean, look how God works. Me being a person, like Tim said in a previous episode, being kind of nervous to be around children or people with special needs, my mom ended up being, teaching children and being in the classroom with children that had autism. So, excuse me, once we had our first child, me and Tim, we were extremely excited. You know, you ain't never had no kids before. I ain't never had no children before. He had never had no kids before. So we were excited. This was the first grandson in the family, in my immediate family, I should say. I have two older nieces, but we didn't have any boys. So everybody all around was extremely excited to get this boy. And we had no idea that, you know, we didn't really know what a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old
Was supposed to
was
be
supposed
like.
to be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured he was doing what he was supposed to be doing.
Me too.
I mean, if you're not really around kids, then you don't really know. You know what I'm saying? So we figured that, you know, what we were experiencing was pretty good. Not that he did a lot of echolalia, like Tim said, which is like a lot of parroting, repeating what we said.
We were just glad he could talk.
Hey,
You know, I mean.
you know what I'm saying? He would get extremely angry at the smallest little things. He would get extremely angry. Sorry, she's
It's our
come
5-year-old.
for refuge and help. No, ma'am. So, and we didn't understand it. There were a lot of different things. Not only that, he did a lot of mumbling. A lot of times we didn't understand what he was saying.
Yeah.
It's okay. He's looking like, what are you talking about? And that's still a conversation that we have to have with him. You know what I mean? What his diagnosis is and how he feels. But that's on another day and another show.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of things that we were seeing but didn't really know what we were seeing, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So there was a particular day that my parents, we lived in Orlando at the time, and my parents, they currently still live in Vero Beach. And so my parents they were always coming back and forth to be with Nehemiah and stuff like that. Because me and Tim were working, so they were kind of like babysitters when we really needed them. But I remember my mom calling me one day, and she was like, there's something that I need to talk to you about, but I don't really know how to tell you because I had this conversation with your dad, and he is very angry with me right now. And nothing against my father. I love my father to the moon and back. I love him to life. But my father is Jamaican, so we all know if you don't know what it's like to have a Jamaican father. They are very, he's a man's man. He's like, you know what I'm saying, no nonsense. And they have a specific, mindset. So they expect certain things. Not in a bad way, but that's just what it is. You know what I mean? So when you have grown up in a West Indian household, or you have family members that are a certain way,
They expect you to be
they
better.
expect you.
They expect you to be
There's
better.
an expectation,
Yeah.
and you already know. Anyway, so she was like, I just need to talk to you about something, and I don't want you to get alarmed, but there are certain things and traits that I'm seeing. And I'm just kind of taking it back like, girl, what are you talking about? And if y'all know my mom, and I love you, mommy. She a little over the top. She can give it to you, you know what I'm saying? And I tell you all the time, my son has honest on both ends. Both of his grandmothers are going over the top. So he is very much. But anyway, so she said, I work with autistic children, and I'm like, yeah. And she said, I want you to go get Nehemiah. I want you to take him to the doctor because there are certain things that I'm seeing. Grace.
And our 5-year-old, if you have children that are on the spectrum, and you're watching, you already know what it is.
Yeah.
If you don't, this is what our life is like.
All the time.
All the time.
And she stole my water, so I have, whatever. I'm a little dry. I'm a little parched. So she was saying I'm seeing certain traits in Nehemiah that I'm kind of concerned about. Can you get
your
me a
mom?
water, booby?
She can have my water.
He's like listening to this story and watching a movie at the same time.
Yeah. Not in front of the camera.
Okay, well,
Well,
there he is in front of
he
the
is.
camera.
All right, say hi, White. Okay.
That was Nehemiah. So she said,
Let me open that for you.
yeah, appreciate it. So she was just telling me certain things that she was seeing. What was she saying? She said the repeating, the behaviors, the hitting, the anger. What else did she say? A couple of different things. Mind you, this is our first diagnosis, and that was over probably 9 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not going to lie. When she told me this, I was like, what are you talking about? No, he's fine. He talks. He does things. And when
Denial.
I was in major denial. Nobody wants to hear your child possibly could have autism. You know what I mean?
And especially what I was talking about on the first episode was that I grew up where we would see people that were on handicap buses and so on and so forth. My mom had one friend, and she had a son, but he really wasn't really social. So he had him a little place in the basement. We'd go down there, and he'd make all these noises and jumping around and so on and so forth. We just, we thought it was just weird, and the things that you don't understand, you tend to not just shy away from, you're afraid of.
Correct.
So I'm like, I don't want to be around that.
Yeah.
So, and that's how we have felt about it. And with my son, hearing that's happening to you, because he does STEM, he jumps around, he makes noises. And, even with my daughters, they do the same thing. And it's kind of like, right now, this experience has given me more grace
100%.
to people that have the same situation going on, and made us more compassionate and more patient. So
I agree 100%. It puts you, excuse me, it puts you in a whole nother category. And before I continue on, let me check this volume, because we had been having issues with the volume, and I don't want us to, what's wrong?
no, there's nothing wrong. I'm just
I want to make sure that this volume is working.
checking and making sure that we're streaming appropriately, because on the program,
Yeah.
it shows everything going good, but then when you look at the live, sometimes it stops
Yeah.
or it freezes,
perfect.
So we want to make sure that we're not having any issues like that going on. Do you see it?
Yep, we're good.
We're good? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So,
So,
and if you're watching and you're listening, we definitely want to hear from you, especially if this is happening with you and you have someone that's on the spectrum in your life. And what we'll do is, if you're chatting with us or placing anything in the notes, we'll pull you up, give you a link, and bring you back over to where we are. So you'll see yourself on the beautiful screen, and you'll be able to give some input to some people that are out there, the community that's out there.
right.
Okay.
Because he's got all that technology that I don't understand.
I'm trying to understand it. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so she had said all these things to me, and when I heard it, I came and I talked to Tim about it. And okay,
What was my response from your take? What was
I
my?
mean, if you know Tim,
Was I defensive?
okay, so if you know Tim,
Well, ain't nothing wrong with that, boy.
it definitely ain't nothing wrong with it, boy, but at the same time, Tim goes into warfare and praying and binding and rebuking
Yeah.
the devil or whatever,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, that's our first mom when you a believer or whatever. So I let him do all of that. But I was like, once we had that conversation and he was saying, no, I don't think it's that or whatever, I kind of really started noticing things, right?
Yeah.
Now, to be fair and to be completely honest, I did not go get him checked out immediately, okay? It was a good month or two.
Yeah.
I was not ready for,
That type of news.
I wasn't, because this was my first child, you know what I mean? And I didn't even think I could have children, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it took me a minute.
And to be honest with you, we hadn't been married that long. We'd only been married for what, 2-3 years, maybe 4
For
years,
what?
when we got the diagnosis.
Oh, yeah, probably.
We were still new at
Yeah,
marriage,
for sure.
So that really shook our marriage to the core. My wife having to take him to all these different appointments. I had to work. I was in between jobs at one time. It was just a whole lot going on, and then I had to take him to different appointments.
Babe, you're jumping.
What?
Babe, we ain't even there yet.
I'm just explaining. I can't.
You, of course, you can explain. I'm just saying, like, you done jumped
all right.
all the way to after the diagnosis. Us going to all of these appointments.
But you get what I'm saying.
Of course. No,
Okay.
I'm not trying to stop you from saying it, but I want us to kind of get through it.
Okay, but that's part of it. Okay, so we're talking about the first time that we heard, or the first diagnosis.
Yes.
I was mentioning earlier, I felt depressed.
Yes.
I felt all types of ways, and at times felt like giving up. It's just I'm not the type of person that's just gonna be like, oh, I'm out of here and just gonna commit suicide or anything of that nature.
I don't think people that. I mean, that's a.
It's just a hard reality, just to think that that things aren't going your way, especially with your child, because you envision your child doing so many great things, and they can still do great things, but it's like, man, there's another hurdle we have to go through, or we don't have it as easy as other people do.
Correct.
So.
Yes, but let's be very careful about something.
No, I'm just saying. I'm
just saying, because what if somebody is at the point of,
I'm saying
like,
don't give up. I'm just saying that's where I was at, and I'm not saying that I was at that point of where I was going to do that. So what I'm saying is that there's hope even in the midst of what you're going through. So you can actually live through autism and having kids on the spectrum. So we got 3 of them. It's just, we don't just have one. We have 3. So it's a process that we have like triple the job.
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead.
So anywho, I finally, after a couple of months, and it could have very well been more than 2 months. It could have been a whole 6. I don't know. Once I gathered, and I'm sure I had numerous conversations with my god sister Keisha, and just people that were currently close to me, because I wanted to, what I'm saying? Sometimes you need to be able to talk to the people that's closest to you to get a little bit more understanding. I mean, that's a lot. Not only I was working a full-time job, I was working at a place that I literally hated, but we had to work. Whatever. So anyways, a couple months passed, and I decided to make the appointment. I took him to the pediatrician. And so let me say, at each appointment that I took each child to, I went. The first one I went completely by myself. The second one, I was alone again. No, I was not alone. My parents came to Georgia because we got Evea diagnosed in Georgia. And Grace, were you there for Grace? No, you were at work.
I was not any of them.
Yeah, okay, so now I'm alone with all of these appointments with my parents on the last 2. So this first appointment, I was not expecting such a harsh reality. You know me? What I'm saying? Okay. So I take my child to the pediatrician, and our pediatrician's name was Dr. I cannot remember his name, but it will come to me. They were Oriental. I think I can say that. Right?
Yeah. Wait, let me stop you. I think I was at the last 2 because we went to the Market Center.
Were you there for Event? Great. You were
I
there.
was there.
We've taken them back.
Okay. So.
Why don't?
I believe I was there.
I don't think you were there for. No, babe. Grace.
I was there for at least one of them. For at least one of them.
Maybe Evea. Maybe Grace. I don't know. Again, things start blurring together when when you know what eat. And it's so funny because my in-laws came in last night, and my sister-in-law was asking me about the podcast and stuff like that. And we were telling us, shout out to Jennifer, she told us to
Yeah.
set up the way that we're set up today. So we're giving
Yeah.
this a try. I think it's working for us.
Yeah.
This setup, we were on the other side of the house. Now we're kind of giving y'all a little vibe of Christmas come, whatever, if we decide to turn on the fireplace, which we won't.
No, it's
But
gas.
nonetheless, so she said, well, what are we going to talk about tomorrow? And I was like, the beginning. And she was like, the beginning, I was like, yeah, you know, the first diagnosis and what it was like. She was like, did you feel different each diagnosis? Were they all different? And I was like, most definitely. And she was like, wow, people don't, and I appreciate that because
Yeah.
if you don't know, you ask questions. And to her, that was like, wow, you know what I mean? I didn't really realize that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't realize that. Even though you may get the diagnosis of autism for different children, you always expect, you don't expect it. You expect, like when you get pregnant, you have all of these ideas of what your baby is going to be like, and all of, like Tim just said, all of these spectacular things
Yeah.
that they're going to do. And again, not to say that they are not, because we are still believing that God is going to, you know, come through.
And change it around for us.
But nonetheless, when you get that diagnosis, it is a hard brick wall in the face. Forget a slap in the face.
Yeah.
It's like somebody has taken an entire brick wall and knocked you out.
It seems like you're at some like junkyard and there's all this trash that's laid upon you, you know, and it's kind of hard to finagle and get through it. That's kind of how I felt. Like there's a ton of bricks that were on me when I heard the news. But you know, hearing it from the doctor, I heard it one time from the doctor, at least once,
Oh,
and
yes.
you feel so down, you feel so depressed, you feel so hopeless. It's like, what? I just thought that this was wrong.
Right.
And then all these other things, they
Right.
do tests right in front of you, and then
Maybe
well,
you were at one of them.
yeah, they were like, well, this is what this test means, and this is what that test means. It's like,
Yeah. It can be very devastating, especially when you're going through the testing.
Yeah.
So, okay. Took him to the pediatrician. And when I took him to the pediatrician, I was by myself. And it was a father and daughter office. Very, what?
yeah, in Winter Park, yeah,
Yeah. They were great. Look,
great people.
very good. But this man, it was almost as if he was like, I've been waiting on you. They're very
Straight
blunt
to the point.
and straight
yeah.
to the point, okay? So he was just pretty much like, yep, I'm going to tell you now, he's autistic. He will never be able to talk. He won't be able to take care of himself. He does not look at you in your eyes. And the man was just running down a list of all the things that he was not doing and can't do and won't do. And I was 24,
Yeah.
maybe about to be 25, with my first baby boy, and he was like 3. He want this, he want that, and his sister. Okay, so it had to be at least a year after my mom told me, because my daughter was a baby. My second child was a baby at the time.
Yeah.
Because I remember him distinctly telling me his sister is going to have to
Take care
of him when he gets older. And I'm sitting here like, what is this man talking about? Like, first of all, like Tim said, I don't even know what autism is. Be careful, Grace. If you see the camera shaking, she's disrobing. And so, did she?
No,
we good?
we're good. We're good.
Okay. So, all this list of what he can't and won't, he gonna be able to drive. He probably gonna have to do this. You know, he'll need speech. He'll need OT. He'll live with you forever. I'm sitting here like, I mean, okay. And so the type of person that I am, I can get all of this information. I know how to take stuff, bag it up, and lock it away and say, okay. I didn't break down, but a part of me on the inside was like, I did not understand what am I doing, Grace? I'm sorry, y'all. Here, boo. I didn't know what autism was.
Me
I
neither.
mean, let's be completely now. Let's be real.
We don't come from a world like that.
Not even just that, but when you were in school, in high school, elementary, when you saw children that were in different classes, what did you automatically think? And I'm not going to be. It was just you just thought people. Look, my mind was like, this cannot be happening to me. And what is what is happening to me at the same time? This can't be happening to me. And what is happening to me?
Yeah.
So all in my head, I'm like, how is this? Did I do something wrong? Now, I'm the mother. And if you have children on the spectrum, as the mother, what do you begin to do? You began to blame yourself and say, what did I do wrong? Was there something that I did wrong when I was pregnant? Now, I have a history of asthma, and there are certain medications that are mandatory for me to take. You have your own water over there. That's over there. Over there. See, she's taking my water again. So there, again, I didn't know what it was. Okay, so he had told me, yes, before I had gotten a real, before I had even taken him to a specialist to get him properly diagnosed, he had already told me. Came home and immediately began to tell Tim what the pediatrician said.
Yeah.
And how did you feel?
I didn't feel so good about it. I didn't really believe what the doctor was saying. I was trying to bypass it and, we'll just take this in prayer and,
Yeah, we were in denial.
Yeah,
still.
It was denial. It was like, this can't be our life. The devil is a liar. I'm not going to live like this. And
Yes.
so on and so forth. But I tell you this, God will allow you to go through different experiences to build you up in a different way that you, for instance, you got things in you that you don't even know that you have into you. So this is a lot. This is allowed me to stretch a lot. It's allowed me to, I guess, become, more of a multitasker. Yeah. I mean, I do multitask. Yes. Come on, don't do me like that on camera now.
Babe.
Anyways,
I'm not doing you like nothing on camera.
I'm multitasking now. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Anyways, but it's helped me in a lot of ways.
Yes,
expand my
now,
mind.
but
then I could say this experience with all three of them has made me into someone completely different. You can't say that I'm the same man 10 years.
No, you are completely different. Praise God. And if y'all knew Tim in the early years,
She
praise
says
God.
it like I was real bad.
No, I ain't saying it like you was out there clubbing and talking to different females and doing all this kind of stuff. But I'm just saying, we both have grown.
That's what I'm saying. My mind has expanded.
But my question to you was
multitask and be able to manage my life more. It's taught me how to manage life. Okay, so that's my answer.
But
anyways.
Okay, so what I'm asking you is, and I get what you're saying now.
Yeah, I mean, when I heard the news, I was devastated.
Okay.
Right. And like I said, it takes you to a dark place.
It takes you to a very dark place.
And I mean, I was already, I didn't have a lot of friends then. That made me not even want to gravitate to new people because people don't understand your life.
Yes.
We go out, we take them out to get something to eat. I remember the first time we took them somewhere, it was like at some place where you could eat outdoors.
Oh, that was a Mother's Day.
Yeah, and he was jumping around making noises, and it's like the manager came out there and looked at us like, you need to control your child. And
yeah, because we were in Winter Park, and Winter Park is very prestigious.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it was Mother's Day. I remember that. There'll be a lot of times that he remember a lot of stuff, and there'll be times that I don't remember because it's
so much, and sometimes it becomes overwhelming that certain parts of you break down.
No, I just block it out.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You just block it out and you just break down because it's so much that you're dealing with, and you don't want to deal with it. There's sometimes you're not going to even want to deal with the world. because of
Facts.
everything that you're dealing with.
Oh,
You know,
facts. Oh.
sometimes one may have a tantrum. We have our daughter, our middle child. Um, I say for the last 6 months, or probably a little bit longer since the pandemic,
Well,
and she had to stay home. Now she's become more angry.
yeah, a little
And
bit before that, because remember, Mr. Wallace used to talk to me about
yeah,
certain things.
so
Yeah.
she could be mad one day and be hitting on the walls, or hitting the car window, and there's so many different
Baby.
aspects you have to deal with a child, especially when they can't communicate.
Yes.
When they can't communicate, they get frustrated and they
Yes.
get angry.
Yes.
So that's one thing that we have to deal with, and I'm not trying to, sway away from what we're talking about the first time.
No, but no, it's
But-
all truth.
But this is real.
Like, no, what he said, that's the truth. And yeah, we will jump back and forth. Okay. I talked to my therapist the other day, and I was like, do I do a lot of jumping back and forth? And she said, yes. But can I follow you at the same time? Yes. So that's what y'all gonna have to do.
Yeah.
We go back, we go forth, and that's just how we roll. And anybody that knows me, they know that's how I work. I'm here, I'm there, but I definitely know how to multitask.
Yeah, you get it back together. Bring it back.
I can bring that thing on back in. But yeah, no, he's telling the truth. She's been a lot more aggressive. Again, last episode we talked about her aggression a little bit. She's been a lot more aggressive towards herself and objects. Again, not
Self-harming,
towards
like
her
hitting
family,
herself and-
not hitting the kids, her sister or brother, not us.
Yeah.
Because okay, we don't play that.
And the youngest one responds back to her by
Yes.
by yelling, like she's
It-
like, "Can
yeah.
you please be quiet."
Yeah,
But
it
she doesn't
triggers
say that.
Grace. It definitely
She
triggers
just
Grace.
makes a noise.
It triggers her, and I'm trying to, and if anybody knows or has any type of advice on, I don't want Grace to pick up this habit.
Yeah.
Because I see where Grace has tried
To hit
to
the-
kind of little bit.
The window and the
But
car.
again, we always bring it back to her, and we let her know, stop. We use the words to let her know that that's not okay. Excuse me. So, yeah, that's something that we have been dealing with.
Yeah.
And we will talk about on and off through all of our episodes, because it's a very real matter that we're dealing with currently. It's a lot of things that we are dealing with currently. We're trying to pack, we ain't gonna pack everything in one episode. That's just
No.
not gonna happen. But we will try the best that we can to, to stay on task for sure, and to finish what we said we were gonna talk about.
Yeah.
We're gonna try. But so again, back to the diagnosis. See, I brought it on back. He said how he felt. I said how I felt, and I'm probably not even giving you all of the way that I really felt, but it was hard. It was very, very hard. So that was the first diagnosis. In Florida, it's a lot different. In Florida, it's a lot different getting your children diagnosed with autism. It's a lot more red tape, okay? So that was the pediatrician. He gave me a referral to go see an occupational therapist to be evaluated for autism, ADHD, and there was something else. Anyway, so I sat on that for a little bit too. Just because I felt, that's not even a word, but felt
Well,
is.
Sometimes you don't even speak. Sometimes your speaking words can be off because there's so much that your mind is trying to process. And sometimes we get here and we try to talk and try to verbalize everything the correct way, but sometimes
Hey,
your
watch
mind is so exhausted that sometimes your words don't come out right.
That's facts. That's
So-
correct. So again, I probably sat on that referral for a little bit. Anyway, so when I actually made the appointment. So I had to take him to the occupational therapist for evaluation. And then I also had to take him to a psychologist. The psychologist was the last person that I had to speak to in order to get an official diagnosis. That was pretty rough too. So anyway, took him to the occupational therapist. He was about 4 now. About maybe 4, maybe going on 5. He was still very young. And he so I don't hate people, but I really disliked this lady, not because of what because I didn't know this lady from a hole in the wall, never had met this lady, but what she represented to me, because she was the one who kind of she evaluated my child. And during this evaluation, during the evaluation, when you're getting a child diagnosed, not even diagnosed, but evaluated for autism, they have this test called the something. I don't know. We have to do it every so often. And then we have to tell them what we see and what's different and blah. It's like this. It's a lot. Anyway, so they have this little teddy bear. And it's a teddy bear. It has cups. It has like a little blanket. There's a book. And it shows like bicycle, cat, jacket, boy, girl, all of these different pictures. It's a picture book. It doesn't have words in it. Excuse me. There's blocks. It's pretty much an evaluation. And in this, what they're doing is they are putting these things in front of your child, and they are seeing what he or she does with these particular items. For example, they brought the little bear out, and I think for my daughters, they brought a baby doll out. Excuse me. So this one I was alone to, which was extremely, oh my gosh, I think I cried. That got me, because they brought this teddy bear out. It was a bin of stuff. The teddy bear, a blanket, like I said, and like cups or something like that. And they were saying to him, okay, so Nehemiah, can you put the blanket on the teddy bear? And
It's like a glaze came over his eyes.
he was just like, no, it wasn't a glaze over his eyes. He just didn't care 2 craps. The teddy bear was not there. The blanket was not there. And you cannot help them. You cannot say a word. You can't kind of, nudge a little bit and give them a little 1, 2, A. You have to sit there and watch this the entire time. Okay, Nehemiah, give the teddy bear some juice. And nothing. He didn't get the baby no juice. He ain't stacked the blocks. I mean, he probably put them side by side, but I mean, he didn't pick the bike. I think he might have said bike, but it wasn't
like he couldn't do it.
He couldn't do it. It hit me. That's what it hit me. What? And I tried to help him, okay? Ain't nobody gonna tell me not to help my 4-year-old or 5-year-old or whatever he was at the time. I want to say 4. Excuse me, at the time. So I was like, Nehemiah, pick up the blanket. Put the blanket on the bear. I tried, and she was like, Mom, you can't help. And I'm looking at her like, well, you're giving him things that is hard to do. He's not even, we are going to make the excuses necessary to make it seem like what we're dealing with is not real. And that was my way of trying to figure out what was happening. I was making excuses, not because he was doing it and he just wasn't paying attention. It was my way of trying to figure, like, my coping, like, oh, well, she probably, you know what I'm saying, this fix. The way she's saying it, she's not saying it the way that it was. And when I tell you I didn't like this lady after this whole diagnosis, I sat there while the evaluation was going on, and tears was falling down my face because I was in disbelief, and I was mad at her. She hadn't done, and she was doing her job, okay? And by the end of that evaluation, she didn't tell me. Oh, and then that's one of the. She did tell me off the record. This is what she said. He does have echolalia. That's when she was telling us about the parroting, because we didn't really understand what it was.
No.
We thought he was doing the right. We thought it was funny. We thought, you know what I mean? He was gaining, words and.
Just playing with us.
We didn't know. He would sing songs and stuff like that. So we didn't really understand what was going on. So that's when she was telling me about echolalia. That was the first time I had ever heard that word. And I kind of blanked out. Not blanked out, but in my head, you start kind of noticing, okay, oh, is that what that is? Okay, I just thought it was this, or oh, I thought he was just angry because he couldn't speak or acknowledge what was going on with him. But then once I got home and I really started thinking about my cousin has children about the same age as Nehemiah and Evea. So thinking about her son and my son, which were just a month apart, her son was way ahead of mine.
Yeah.
And when in the beginning, you don't think about that. You just happy to have a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then when you sit back and you think like, oh.
Are they able to do that already?
Exactly.
So, I mean, yeah, okay. Let's work with them on trying to get that done, and that's not happening.
And when you work with them and you try to get it done,
you get frustrated.
And you get very frustrated, and it doesn't go the way you expect it to go. You feel defeated.
Yeah.
And I felt extremely defeated. I think that's when I started going down this rabbit hole of, I don't know, maybe it was depression. But I think that's what opened up the door to all of these other things that I was having.
Yeah, and then it brings stress on your marriage. There's a lot of bickering, a lot of fighting, and and so on and so forth, because you can't understand what's going on in their life, and this this particular thing called autism takes you and your spouse basically that alone time away, because you're spending so much time trying to invest into your kids and trying to do things to make sure that they're happy, that they're comfortable, based on what they're going through. They're not getting a lot of things or a lot of experience that other people are getting.
Yes.
And having with their children, and it's like we feel like we're missing out on a whole lot.
Oh gosh.
But it looks like the time has come where we need to wrap this up. It's been a pleasure.
Wait, wow, what's coming?
It's been 47 minutes.
Oh, okay. So how long is this podcast going to be?
Usually about 30 minutes. Would you say like 30 minutes to 45 minutes?
30 minutes? That's not going to be like, if we do 30 minutes, and y'all let us know.
Let us know. Should it be an hour? Should it be?
I think podcasts, aren't they like an hour?
Nah, some of them could be. Some people stay on there for like 5 or 6 hours. It depends on what the content is. But, we're just getting a feel for everything and just.
Yeah, but let me just say this, because he about to. Now, last week, I couldn't get him to stop talking over me, and every time I'll be like, okay, let's go ahead and shut it down. He'd be like, oh, I gotta say one more thing. Now this week he cut me off.
It's no big intention. We're just trying to just keep it consistent with time.
Yeah, but I think we're still kind of in the middle. Like,
there's a whole lot we can talk about regarding this. But let me say this: that if you have a show idea pertaining to autism, or if you have any questions, or if you just want to just drop us some lines, you can reach out to us. You can email me at timothy@destinedtocoach.com. And Denisha, she'll get the same notes and everything. We'll read the emails together and see how we can put everything in place. Okay? Yes. So go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, so I don't even know what I was saying. But yeah. After, and I will, kind of speed this along, whatever, but I don't want to leave this open to, I want to at least bring it to a close. So anyway, did that, took him to the psychologist. She diagnosed him with the exact same thing or whatever. And so that was really hard. That did bring a lot of confusion between us, because then you start thinking, where does this come from? Especially if you have never experienced it in your life. There's nobody in your immediate family that you know that has autism. And you don't even really know what autism is. And like Tim says, you start doing all this research. Then after that comes all of the, what do I do now to help my child? Help my child. What do I do now? Well, one of the things that helped our son was glasses.
Yeah.
Okay? When we got Nehemiah glasses, he was probably about 5 at this time. And that took him from here. It was like he couldn't see. So that's something you might want to do. Like if you're watching this and like you really don't know what to do, go get his eyes checked. Go get her eyes checked. Go get her hearing or his hearing checked. Because we did get his hearing checked. And we was like, maybe he can't hear. You know what I mean?
Because we would call him and it was like we weren't getting too much of a response.
We weren't getting a response.
Yeah.
Okay? So we did all those necessary things. His hearing is very fine. And it was then too. So, but then when we got his eyes checked, they told us that he had a astigmatism and whatever. Got him his new glasses, all of this stuff. And I tell you no lie, as soon as he started wearing his glasses, now that took some training too, teaching him how to wear his glasses. It was like a light bulb clicked on. Now, yes, we had to start doing the occupational therapy.
Yeah.
We had to start doing the speech therapy. At that time, I had never heard of ABA, and I don't even know if ABA was a thing back when Nehemiah was diagnosed. He's going to be 13 next month, so you do the math how long ago that was. Basic as it may be, I'm just not doing it. So physical therapy, I think we did physical, I don't know. We didn't do physical therapy. We got him evaluated for physical therapy, but he didn't need physical therapy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's when you have to rearrange your entire life and schedule. When you start doing, let me say this. Excuse me. Remember when I was talking about taking him to that pediatrician and supposedly the pediatrician told me that my 10-year-old was going to be the one to take care of him and blah, blah, blah. So one of the things he said to me, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping back in the middle, only just to say this. One of the things he said to me, I asked him, I said, okay, well, is this something that could, like, happen again? Like, if we decided, no. Again, Yvette was here at the time. So I said, so could this, potentially be, could this happen to my daughter? And he was like, no. It's literally a 1 in whatever % chance that it could ever happen to siblings. It's like one child out of, if you decide to have 3 or whatever, the number he gave me. So, I was like, okay, that was a little bit of hope, you know what I mean, in the midst of a dark place. So I was like, all right, that was a lot to take in, but he said that it won't happen to us again. Okay. Put a pin in that, right? Okay, I just want to throw that out there. So anyways, again, having to rearrange your entire schedule, working a 9 to 5, him working, and figuring out what OT is, what speech therapy is. I mean, come on, guys, that's a lot.
It is a lot. And then you have to work it. Sorry? Then you have to work around that schedule, see if you can get days off, see when you can be available for this and available for that.
And people are not that
flexible.
Exactly.
Especially if you're working a 9 to 5.
You think they care if your child got autism and you got to take your child to OT at 2 o'clock when you get off at 5 or 6? Or you got to you got to go do one thing at 3, whatever. Do you think they don't care? That's why we said it at the beginning, first episode or whatever. I don't know if we did say it or not. A lot of times you can only have one person work. Okay? And a lot of times you have to
or create jobs.
You have to create a job from home, income for yourself, or you have to get Social Security income. You have to get Social Security disability.
But you're not going to be available. You're not going to be able to take them to these.
If you don't care, then you can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you want to stay in denial, then you can, pretend like this is not what's going on in your life. But if you really want to be, if you want your child to have the best that they can have and live up to the best potential that they can, then you're going to do everything that you can. And most people, if you're watching this, then that's who you are. So
I would like to say this. A lot of times I had to work the night shift. I wouldn't be home with my family during the nighttime
that
because
started towards the end, babe.
it started towards the end, but it was a period of time where you didn't have to work for like 7 years, right?
Babe, you done jumped to when we moved to Georgia.
No. We're talking. We're talking
But
about.
yes,
Yeah, we're talking
that's
about
true.
how we had to finagle and had to.
But that
do
was
this and
when
do
we
that.
figured out, like, what we were doing was not working.
Yeah, it wasn't working.
It did not, like, it took us a minute. Not even a minute. It took us years to figure out what would work for us. And we are still figuring out what works for us because we still don't really know. I mean, we know, but then sometimes it doesn't really come together the way we want it to come together. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Because there will be times, or there are times that, you know, he has a night job and it doesn't work. He's too tired. Whatever the case may be, we're still trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? Even now, God has blessed me with a brand new career. Mm-hmm. I'll be working for an ABA, Applied Behavioral Analysis company, which is a company or an office that works with children and adolescents that have autism. That is a huge career change for me and a blessing all in one.
Yeah.
Like, God is great, and he's good. But, like, so that was even a conversation that me and Tim had to have because that is going to be a huge jump from what we're used to. So when you figure out what works for you, and my therapist had to tell me this, and after I say this, I'm going to shut my mouth. She told me one time, me and Tim, we were living in Covington at the time. Mm-hmm. We have since we live in Conyers. I mean, whatever. Yeah. But me and Tim were kind of having issues with work. And not so much as finances, but, you know, God has always kept us. Yeah. So I can't complain. Like, now we done been down in the, you know what I'm saying? Like, we done been down here in the gutters trying to figure out, make sure them lights stay on, the water, you know what I'm saying? Like, I look a certain way, Tim looks a certain way, but people don't understand. Like, we done been to the point where we didn't have water. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying that because that's realistic. You know what I mean? And we had
stamps,
kids.
all types.
Whatever. And look, I ain't mad at no food stamps, okay? But it was what it was because we were we had been thrusted into this world of autism. And there was a point where I literally had to give up my job and say that I was there for almost 6 years. And nothing against Tim, but it kind of gave us the stability that we needed. Yeah. I had to give it up and say, this isn't working. You're going to have to figure it out. And I quit. I mean, I gave my 2 weeks in.
You did.
But anyway, what I was going to say was, I was talking to my therapist one day, and me and Tim were having this issue. We have in whatever, finances, work, whatever. Mm-hmm. And she said to me, again, let's go back to what I'm saying, living in a West Indian household or Caribbean, whatever you want to call it. There's a certain expectation of a man. There's a certain expectation of a man anyway in America, black, white, whatever, Bible, definitely. But what I'm saying is when you have a father that is of a certain way, you are expected, your husband is expected to do this. So when I was telling, and me and Tim, we couldn't see eye to eye. We couldn't because what I wanted from him, he couldn't give me. And it wasn't because he couldn't give me. It was just because our lives
was so hectic.
Don't work like everybody else's, okay? So she said, Denisha, let's dial it back a little bit. What if your life isn't that 9 to 5 job thing? Like, what if he has to do nights? Or what if he can only work part-time and you work this amount of... But, like, no, everybody's life ain't going to be the same. Like, you have to understand what works for your family
Yeah.
is not going to be what worked for your family when you were growing up. Just because you saw your father doing this and he worked in his job for 20 something years and retired with the city doesn't mean that's going to be the same thing for your husband. Not
Yeah.
because he can't do it, but because your lifestyle and what y'all dealing with ain't the same.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna save a lot of people from fussing about why he ain't doing this and why he ain't doing that. Now, okay, I ain't talking about like if your children can go to school and go to after school and he ain't working. We ain't talking about that.
No.
We talking about because you have children that have all of these appointments that they have to go to, all of this, whatever. You have to pick them up in the middle of the day. I've had numerous phone calls from teachers calling me at 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon because my child is having an episode and I need to come and calm him or her or whatever. So that's what I'm talking about. So when I realize, like when I tell you that epiphany just happened to us last year,
Yeah.
that just happened last year when she told me that, okay?
No
So therapy is very important, okay? So when she told me that, I came back and I told Tim, and it was like, there was something in me that felt so much peace with that answer. I was like, okay. Now, do he have to work? Yes.
Oh yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
We are two working household. We figures it out.
Yeah.
God blesses us in many different areas. He gets work. I get work. We have a lot of different things that we have to do.
Yeah.
But it works for us. It's
Yeah.
not the traditional 9 to 5. We don't have nobody that we can take our children to after school for after school program.
So one of us has to be there.
Boom.
You know?
So anyways,
Yeah.
that's all I wanted to say. And I probably did go over a little bit. But, I mean, we're talking about autism here, people. And we was a little late when we started. So I just took a little bit of extra
2 minutes
time.
late.
I
It's
mean,
just-
it was like 5 or 6. So I wasn't
Anyways, I have to announce this that every first week we're going to start autism support group. So it's going to be February, the first week of February we're going to start, and we're going to basically create a community. We're going to be in this program called Air Meet, which will allow you to come in and be able to connect with people and see people that's say you're part of the woods. Maybe you can connect and establish a little sub community there to where you can uplift and uphold one another. So that's what we need. We need people that's going to be around us. We need a village. It's hard doing it by yourself.
Yes.
And if you're able to tap into something like that, where people can actually hang out with you and be friends. I know the coronavirus is out there and so on and so forth. You can still do it virtually.
Correct.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start on a virtual note. So we're going to create I have a website which is Destined to Coaching. We're still working on that. You can just type it in Google and Google us, and it'll come up. I'm still working out some of the kinks, and from then you'll be able to see what's going on and when the support group starts. So I'm just letting you know as the episodes go on, and that February, first week of February comes along, you're going to see the exact information you need to tap in to come in.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was, pretty much an overview. That's just in a nutshell, and I'm sure we've skipped over a lot that, we went through with our first diagnosis. And I just want to say, like, if you would really think about if you have children in your life and you know somebody that has children that have autism, you have to really consider and think about what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand. Like, they want to be empathetic and sympathetic, but you have no idea.
No idea.
When you have somebody that is the same age, you have friends that are the same age as your children, and you see all of these humongous milestones, just not even huge, but little milestones that their children are doing, and they're, celebrating, and you're celebrating
them with them, but at the same time, it's like, why is that not happening for me?
You feel isolated too, yeah.
You feel like you're alone. You feel like you're, like some black sheep or something.
Yes.
That something like this can't happen for you.
Yes.
And I'm just here to let you know that there's been testimonies of how people have had children that have been autistic and have come out of a lot of things. Some that have been nonverbal now are speaking. Some of them are like doctors and lawyers and all type of professional people. So I don't want you to think that it's just it's loom and gloom.
No, it's not.
We're seeing milestones even in Nehemiah's life. Like I said, he made
Yes.
student of the month a couple months ago.
Yes.
And his
Yes,
teacher
he did.
uses him to read and
Yep.
uses him to be a role model in the
Yep.
class.
Yep.
So we're believing for great things for them, and we know that great things are happening for them.
Exactly.
So we're just going to keep holding on to the faith that of the expectation and that the Lord would change it around for us. So
Yep.
that's where we are.
And that they'll be prime examples, period. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just what it is. And we're doing this podcast to be a help and
Yeah.
for help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because I'm tired of, like I said previously, not seeing people out there like us, or there being people out there, but there's nowhere for them to go or talk to nobody,
Yeah.
or they feel so isolated. They're like, they just stay home, or they look, I'm on these Facebook communities for autism, and when I tell you a lot of these moms and dads that write into these things, it's like we deal with some of the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just us being us
And putting it out there
and putting it out there.
and letting you know that you're not alone. So that's where we are. And anything else you want to say before we close?
No, just, I hope you enjoy the podcast. I hope that what we're saying is a help to people, period. Like, just, that's it. Like, we just want to help people. We just want to be a blessing to people.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope that you will continue to watch and support and like and share.
Yeah.
Please like and share this, because it may not help you, but it might be somebody that's on your page
Yeah.
that it could help. You know what I'm saying? So
That's why we do what we do.
that's it.
Till next time.
Living with the spectrum.
Living
we
with the
out.
spectrum. We out.